Static Podcast is brought to you by the Hester Group, a law office with a 12-year proven track record of success. Now listen, if you've been involved in a serious car accident, you have injuries, your car is a wreck, you need to contact them because they can get you paid today. 314-652-4321. That's 314-652-4321. Tell them Staci Static sent you, but remember, the choice of an attorney is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisement. Super geeked about today's Lil Homie Monday. Happy Monday to you, and thanks for tuning in to the Static Podcast. I'm Staci Static. So, I love to highlight young people, or at least people younger than me, honey. So, on Mondays, who are doing awesome things. And today, I have contemporary mixed media artist, Adrian Octavius Walker is here with me today.
Hello.
And you would know him from Made Monarchs.
Mm-hmm.
So, how long was that in existence?
Made Monarchs was running from about 2008 to about 2012, I want to say.
So what was it exactly?
Late 2007, 2012.
So people who don't know.
For people who don't know what Made Monarchs was, it was four of us, three friends of mine, all from University of Missouri, St. Louis. And it started off as a blog.
Okay.
And then it eventually ventured off to a online media company.
Okay.
So where we started throwing events, booking shows. We went to South by Southwest. We went there to basically collect and create content.
Gotcha.
So we turned into like content creators. And
before that was a thing.
Before it was a thing, I guess. We were just doing these things that we thought was cool because, I don't know,
right.
We were just bored. And then we saved all our money from the shows and stuff like that we did, and we put it all back into the company for us to do these things,
Gotcha.
Buy equipment and all that. And then we would also learn to pay ourselves. So we did our annual bonus around Christmas time.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you all collectively, and it was four of you.
It was four of us. Yeah.
So what happened to you all dismantled when you left, or it was before that?
I mean, it was one of those things where we tried to hold on to it. So I'll tell the names. So we have Jonna Twiggy Kicks, Darren Nesbitt, who was Mr. Nesbitt, and Skip Jones, who was the skipper.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much I left. Did I leave first? No. I don't even remember. Life is crazy. I just remember, I think it was Darren who went off to New York, and we were still trying to hold things down. Jonna, she eventually went to Chicago with her family, so I think it was just me and Skip here.
Mm-hmm.
Skip got married. Life just happened. You
right,
know?
life
It's one
happened.
of those things. It's like people getting married, moving, having kids.
Mm-hmm. Life.
It's just life, and we still exist.
Right.
We talk about stuff all around. Our anniversary was just like last week or something like that.
So y'all like hit each other and like
we have a group chat.
Oh, cool. Okay.
We have a group chat. We talk every day.
Oh.
Darren's typically first because he's in New York, so he knows what's going on in the world.
Nice.
So he's like feeding us all like the news from the podcast and the Breakfast Club and all this type of stuff. And I'm pretty much the last one waking up because I'm on the West Coast.
Yeah, you on the left.
Right.
Okay. All right, so if you're just now joining us, this is Adrian Octavius Walker. I feel like I need to say your whole name because it's everywhere. Yeah, that's how.
I think it's
how
tight when it's my name. I like my name said because Adrian Walker is really typical.
Yeah, so you want.
So I feel like
everything
it's a lot of Adrian Walkers out there. So it's just like, but at the same time, I don't want to sound like a prick either.
like I'm doing too much. Y'all gotta say my whole name.
Yeah, but I let it be known to say it, especially like if I'm like doing like some stuff in the art world.
Yeah.
I kind of want my whole name to be said, but at the same time, I put a disclaimer behind it, like Adrian Octavius Walker. I'm not a prick though.
No, just own it. Just own it because I think that you have to teach people.
Yeah.
You have to tell people how to treat you. You know what I'm saying? You got to tell people what to say. So if I see it like that all the time, then I know like that's his name. That's what you're supposed to be called. So.
And I feel like I always have to say your name. The whole name.
The whole name. Yeah, because Staci is just, that could be anybody.
That's
really.
anybody.
Yeah.
Down the street.
Yeah. Everybody's
doing
Staci.
ponytails.
Yeah, doing ponytails. and crochet braids,
Yep.
all of that good stuff. So you transitioned, like I said, you were you actually got married in the building we're sitting in, and you had the first event in this building, in
Yep.
the Dot Zac.
I opened up the Zach.
Yeah.
Well, we opened up the Zach.
Very, very nice. Very great. It's a great space. So you moved to San Francisco. You work for Visco. Tell me what Visco is.
Yeah. So I moved to the Bay. Well, I'm in Oakland, and I work for a company called Visco. Visco stands for Visual Supply Company, and we make. So Visco is a program where you come to a channel where you come to discover, create, and connect, and we build tools, creative tools for creatives. So essentially, what it is basically we have color scientists who build presets, and these presets stem from actual film, where they emulate film stocks, and then they put it into the phone, and you can apply these presets on top of your photos.
So it's good for like people who want to be photographers and they want to use their phone
Or
just
just
to do some
creatives.
stuff.
You don't
Just
have
create-
to.
okay.
Definitely want to you don't have to be a photographer to use Visco.
Okay.
You don't have to be a photographer to say you take photos. I just generalize that as a whole.
Right.
But we do have a community of folks that create really beautiful things.
Okay.
Outside photography is folks that use Visco that just love the UI or love the layout, and they use it as their website.
Okay.
I know a woman who I host at Visco for Open Studios. Open Studios is something I run at Visco where we allow creatives to come in and use our studio space for 4 hours for free.
Oh, nice.
And she makes flowers out of paper, and you would think from a distance they're real flowers.
Oh, wow.
And she came in, she made some stuff, and then she took pictures of it.
Nice. So you were educated here in St. Louis, and you started this creative thing here in St. Louis. So do you think that St. Louis gets a bad rep for creatives? I mean, I think that it's always sad to me when I see people like you move away.
Yeah. I would say this subject is really touchy because this is like one of those things like you make what you make, you hang with who you're going to hang with, and it's your choice to be who you are, who you want to be. It's your destiny. And for us, we were destined enough to have each other. I'm talking about Made Monarchs, where we would like balance each other out. And also going to school, I went to University of Missouri, St. Louis. I was surrounded by a lot of creative folks and people I saw that were creative and just open to see it, just had an open mind. And so one of those things for me is when I hear negative things about St. Louis, it's pretty much St. Louis versus St. Louis. When it comes down to it, it's nobody outside of St. Louis. It's folks within St. Louis, I feel like, who, it's not even really beef. It's just stuff that doesn't really matter. It's one of those things for me. It's just like if you see another photographer doing something in the city and you doing something in the city, it's one of those things where a collab can eventually happen.
Right.
But it's always one of those ones somebody want to be better than somebody else, or they want to outshine somebody else.
Crabs in a barrel.
Yeah. So it's like you're doing a podcast now, you popping. Salome Johnson comes out of the way and she's doing a podcast. It's like, I'm gonna make mine better than Staci Statics. And it's just like, well, why though? Why I just can't?
Right. Why can't we
do it
collab? Why can't
together?
we? Yeah.
And so that's one of those things. It's like community has always been something for us, especially me, and that's why I'm who I am now. I see somebody doing some really dope stuff, I'll give it a shout. I tweet it out. It doesn't take me nothing
Right.
to do that. I don't have a chip on my shoulder where I don't want to do these things. I want to see everybody win. And then, but sometimes it's hard because like people put you in a position where it's just like, I really can't help you because it's just some a-holes out here. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, as much as you want to help and as much as you want to be there for them, it's just like, it's just, them holding you back from doing a service for them. And it's just like, I just want to be cool with you, but at the same time, I see where you are.
Right. So what kind of, I guess, traits do you see in them where you're just like, no? Because I know what, for me, where I'm just like, I can't help this person.
I think it's the traits is just one of those things where they just feel like they're better than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that just doesn't feel good. That energy, I'm really big on energy. And if you're feeding me bad energy from the beginning, it's just, that's where it's kind of like a red flag for me.
Right.
It's just because if you're treating, it's not about me. If I see somebody else being treated a certain way, and it's just like, and I mess with them or whatever, then it's also almost that's them telling me I can't mess with them because I don't want to. I don't want the energy around me, and I don't want to work with people or my people to work with people that I know that give off bad energy. You know, they can be good at what they do. They can have amazing products and all this type of stuff. They can do amazing things, but at the same time, it's just like I can't help them. And for me, like once I left St. Louis, it's one of those things where, like you said before, when people leave St. Louis, other people look up at them like, oh, yeah, everybody always leaving St. Louis. But it's just one of those things where I got an opportunity outside of St. Louis.
Right.
You know, St. Louis is.
Were you actively trying to leave?
I wasn't even thinking about it. Well, when I had got back, so my story was I graduated school 2010. I got a job at
What high school did you go to?
I went to Vashon High School.
Okay.
And I went to University of Missouri St. Louis after that. And then I ended up getting a job. I was working at Pepsi, doing something that I didn't care to do. I was basically just working in the warehouse. I was making good money, but at the same time, it wasn't fueling what I actually do as a creative. So I tried to figure out ways to do those things when I had learned that Beyonce was signed or had a contract with Pepsi. I was like, yo, I wrote a whole proposal. I didn't know who the heck to give it to. So I wrote a proposal about what I do and what I could do to help elevate this. And like it was basically when Beyonce was performing at South by Southwest, and she had that huge Pepsi show. And this was when South by Southwest was getting really, really big. You know, South by Southwest used to be really chill once upon a time ago with a lot of indie artists, and now it just popped off. And so I wrote that letter. I don't know. It didn't get to who I needed to get to. I don't even know who I was trying to send it to because there's so many people there. But I do know that I couldn't stay there a longer time than I did. So
and how old were you when you did this?
Age. Let me see. 2012 is when I left.
Okay, that's when you left St. Louis.
Yeah, I'm 31 right now.
Okay.
So y'all do the math for me.
You like, I don't know how old I was.
Yeah, I was like probably like 24, something like that.
So at that time, you already knew that you needed to create your own opportunities.
And that's the thing, like, and then like with the connections that I had already made in the past, those connections still follow me. So one of the shows that we booked in the past was with Staci. Staci was a part of the Maybach Music. I believe you were at that show.
I think I was.
I think you were. And
I got a currency rolling. Anyway, a little tray.
Yeah. I remember that show too.
You remember that?
We had worked with a local group called Knuckle Rumbler with that. And shout out to Knuckle Rumbler, y'all dope. Do 314 everybody.
Yeah.
We worked.
Oh
with.
yeah, because we
worked with a lot of folks. Yeah. We worked with a lot of folks.
You just brought back memories.
Yeah, and so we had brought in Staci on our own dime. And Staci was one of the artists that I stayed close with as far as like in contact and all this type of stuff. So I was in Chicago with my wife, girlfriend at the time, wife now, and I got a call from Dan Resnick, which was Staci's manager at the time. And then that call led him to telling me that they were going on tour with Lupe Fiasco, which I had already knew. So I was like, yeah, that's dope, man. Congratulations, yada, yada, yada. And he said, we would like for you to be our photographer. And I was like, okay, that means that I have to quit my job. He was like, yeah. And I was like, so the tour starts in 2 weeks. He said, yeah. I said, so that's enough time for me to put my 2 weeks notice in.
Right.
So I wrote up the letter. Well, my wife wrote up the letter for me. A shout out to Black women. And she wrote the letter. And I looked at it. I was like, yeah, this looks cool. And then I submitted it while we were eating Giordano's Pizza in Chicago.
Right, and I'm not going back to work.
Yeah, and so I left and I went on tour for 45 days and we toured 35 cities.
Nice.
And I connected with a lot of folks who I know now today.
So let me go back to that, like, because you say you connected with a lot of people. It's always been difficult for me to like make those connections and ask for the numbers. So what in you, like when you see these opportunities and you just like, oh, okay, I need to make sure how do you know who to connect with? I think that's a lesson that a lot of people need to learn.
I don't honestly know like how or who. It's just one of those things. Being a fly on the wall, I just talk to people. It doesn't matter what you have on or how you look or something like that. If you like in a space where I'm not, I'm just gonna talk to you. But if you do have on something that's dope, that's also a conversation starter. Most
Right.
of my friends that I have today, it all stem from some type of fashion because I'm
Okay.
into clothes and all that type of
Right.
stuff. And so, but at the same time, being at places like Beats by Dre, and then I met Karen Civil before Karen Civil was like, Karen
Karen
Civil's
Civil, right.
huge now, and it's almost like she's gonna be somebody, and it's dope to have those like degrees of separation because I know a lot of people who know her, and I haven't talked to her since I talked to her, which is fine. She probably won't remember me. That's cool too.
Right.
But I'm not gonna act as if like you need to know who I am or whatever, because it's like
That's
I know
important.
who you are, and so like talking to people like that and just collecting gems, and then just keep going and keep going and keep going, and that's kind of like how it's not like a how I know. It's just like just sticking to the roots of who I am and just talking to these folks and then just staying in contact. And if we do fall back from like, because everything life gets busy, and that's okay, we will reconnect,
Right.
or I will meet other folks, and then
just
that's-
take advantage of all the
yeah,
opportunities that you
it's
get.
it's just basically like a hamster on a wheel. It's basically how I
Yeah.
look at it, as myself, and just I keep going.
And being strategic, I think that that's important. I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, because people have said stuff like, well, like my Korean radio, like I was lucky, and I'm like, no, I put myself in positions
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
always be able to. And they're like, oh, but you, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I had to, like you said, you had a thought, like I'm not gonna be working at Pepsi,
Yeah,
like I gotta do something different.
I had like a little, I wasn't an argument, but a disagreement. I forget who I was talking to about like believing in luck. And it's like, I believe in luck, but at the same time, I also believe in building relationships in those things. So it's just like people say, you're lucky that you were there. And it's just like, well, I'm actually, I feel like if I put myself in a position in the first place, you're going to end up meeting certain type of people.
If you're in the room, yeah.
You're in the room, so it's just like one of those things where if you're like in a room with folks or whatever, that's when you shoot your shot. You know what I'm saying? Or even if you're just like in the room amongst these people, and you see them and you see how they move. Like I had a really
That right there. When
Yeah.
you see how, when in Rome, like you
Yeah.
said, don't come in here being all braggadocious when everybody chilling. Like,
yeah. I mean,
chill.
just like seeing you, and then like seeing other folks in St. Louis, like the Black Spades, and I worked with Kaveh Razani, who who founded Blank Space. I was like friends with all these amazing people. I feel like they may not be like super rich and super popular, but they still built a lot of dope things. So just to see how these folks move, even Chris, what I'm saying? Chris, who opened his freaking Zach, what I'm saying? Like this guy has done a lot of things. And then I have other friends, my tattoo artist, Sean Baltzel, who opened up a bunch of businesses, and folks like my homies over at Strange Donuts and Tower. And there's just so many businesses here,
Exactly.
and people who like doing stuff, Workplay, Kevin and Danny McCoy, what I'm saying, stuff that they done. And so it's like, it's funny, like it's cool to be on a show called Lil Homies, because it's like, I mean, I'm older, but like
You still my little homie.
yeah, so it's one of those things. It's like it's still like that. So I'm not gonna get on the show like I was on the show called Lil Homie. I'm not a Lil Homie.
Right.
And even have that mentality is just kind of weird. So because it's like I still look up to a lot of folks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I look up to folks that's younger than me. And so people like take these things, it's like these sayings and these notions, and they twist it all up and they get off track,
Right.
And that's kind of like how I am, like why I am the way I am today.
Right.
Saying like you said, putting yourself in a room, allowing yourself that space and that time, and then you can take it from there.
Did you ever feel, because going to school at Vashon, when people say, when you hit with, I was shocked. I just knew you were going to say something Hazelwood School or something like that.
Yeah. I love saying I'm from Vashon. I went to school from Vashon.
Yeah.
Because, Vashon is one of those places where, it gets a bad rep. A lot of stuff that went down at Vashon, but I just didn't put myself in that position. I grew up in JVL,
Okay.
Jeff Vanderloo.
Did your mama let you go outside and play?
Yeah, all my I went outside and played. My dad is still over there. My mom, she passed away when I was younger, around 10.
Okay.
And so, like, one of those things, my mom sent me to the store to go get her a payday and Pepsi every Friday.
Okay, yeah, you
know,
had a black mama, baby.
Yeah, so it's
Okay,
one of those
yeah.
things where it's just like, I know where I'm from. And I was smart within the streets. I just, when stuff popped off, I went in the house.
Right,
It's that simple, but it's not that simple for a lot of people. I knew
Gotcha.
for me, one of those things is I knew the outcomes of these things. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, what did Denzel Washington say in Training Day? He said, "You want to go to jail, you want to go home." You know what I'm saying? I want
Right.
to go home. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
I'm
So
gonna make
it's
that choice.
exactly. So it's just like the choices you make and the way how you set yourself up, and in bringing that back tenfold, it was cool to be from a place like the JVL and then be able to hop on Vice, because I was on Vice not too like a few years ago, and I was talking about where I was from, and I got up with a big homie that was in the streets, and I said, who else can tell a story that I can't? Oh, of course, I know I'm gonna get my homie Yo that
Yeah.
was in the streets, and we gonna talk about this together
Exactly.
from my perspective and from his perspective, and that's what we did together.
That's
And
dope.
then that led opportunities from for him years down the line of people hitting him up that want to do segments on him and stuff like that. You know, it's one of those things. It's like I didn't trip off that they didn't hit me up. I'm glad they hit him up to be
Right.
on it. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. That door opened up a lot of other doors for the both of us.
I love
And so
it.
that's kind of like where I am. So it's like I said, Vashon, I had my folks that I was hanging with. We did good things. We made good grades. I knew I wanted to go to school. I figured out a way to, we had this program where we went to University of Missouri St. Louis, UMSL, and we went to Rankin. And so this program was basically, it was a real program where you was in college. And we had the opportunity to learn what college was. And I was taking the test, and I was like, dang, this is really hard.
Right.
And I got the results back. I was like, I got a D in sociology, I mean a C in sociology, which that's where I majored in, and a D in anthropology. And I was like, I guess I could have did better if I would have actually studied.
Right.
You know, I didn't know
What to
that
expect,
was
right.
and stuff like that. So I ran with that. I took those credit hours that I had from UMSL, which was 6, and then I went to UMSL,
Nice.
and I met some folks. I did want to travel outside of the states to get to school, but again, you know, not necessarily like blaming, pointing the fingers at Vashon, but I just didn't have a good counseling system at Vashon.
Right.
You know, so it's like we definitely have to do better with our inner city schools and stuff like that. And I don't want to
And
get on the
presenting the
show.
opportunities.
Yeah, and I want to get on the show like we need to do better. I would help with
Yeah.
that stuff. You know what I'm saying? If the opportunity precedes itself, I would just look into it more. But yeah, I wouldn't call it luck. You know, I set myself up for success,
Yeah.
and I put myself in those places.
I
and
love it. I
yeah.
love your story. Thank you for sharing it. And I
you.
knew it was great, but I'm glad we had an opportunity to really chop it up because I've seen you in passing, you know, my daughter, and I've seen you do things, and I never really knew like the building blocks of how you got there.
Yeah.
But I always look at a lot of people, and like I said, I admire you, the way you move, and I'm like and knowing fully now that you definitely have to. And I tell people all the time, like, no, you have to be strategic in the way you go through life. So let's talk about what you're doing now. And you just because I didn't know that I was going to be able to talk to you, and I'm
Yeah.
really happy I did because you had a show in Columbia, Missouri yesterday. Now,
Yep.
how did that happen?
So I have a series. It's called We Matter. It's a photo series that I photographed. I did this project about 2018,
Okay.
and these photos were just all over the place. You know, I've been having the works being shown in multiple places from LA, Oakland, just different places, but it never had its home together. So a good friend of mine, his name is Curtis Taylor Jr., he has a store called The Greens with another homie of mine. His name is Marquise White, and they have the store in Columbia, Missouri. They both went to Mizzou. The store is not affiliated with Mizzou whatsoever. They came up with their own concept of this boutique curatorial space.
Okay.
And so they sell clothes, and they also have art shows.
Nice.
And Curtis approached me. He's like, "Hey, we should do We Matter at the Greens." I was like, "Yeah, we should." And then we just ran with it
Nice.
from there. So I had a vision of how I wanted this to be. I wanted to do beyond photos. I wanted to have installations. I wanted to have a performance, and that's what I did, and that's what we did together. And we built out installation pieces. We built out this whole performance piece. I had a sonic music, it had sonic sound to it. A friend of mine named Fred, his name is at no shirt _ on Instagram. He created this beautiful sonic playlist for me
Nice.
of music and
Are
inspirations.
all of y'all from St. Louis or from?
Nah,
Oh, okay.
Marquise is from St. Louis. Marquise and Curtis is from St. Louis. Um, Fred is not.
Okay.
But everybody lives in other places. Marquise lives in Columbia with a store. Curtis is like in and out of Columbia. He's currently based in Atlanta. And No Shirt Fred, he's in LA.
Okay.
And I'm in Oakland.
And y'all all came together to do this
Yeah.
amazing show in Columbia, Missouri last night, which is dope. And I love these photos. And it's just black folks living.
Yeah. So it's basically the work is based on, black masculinity is like a really hot topic. And for me, this was basically showing the power of kinship and what the power of kinship means to me through visuals of men wearing a do-rag, which I call a crown. It's like a universal statement, and so with that, and it's crazy, these curtains is really reminding me of it because the do-rags that I photographed are velvet. It's by a company, a black-owned company called OG Royale. Some homies of mine based in LA, they wanted me to photograph their do-rags for their website. And as I was taking the photos and I got the film back, because I'm shoot primarily film, I got the stuff back and I was just like, man, these photos mean a lot to me, and I don't know what that meaning is just yet, but I do know that I want to sit on them. Is that okay with you all? I'll take other photos, but these right here are kind of like sitting with me different.
Right.
And they appreciated the story. I got up with a good friend of mine named Ryan Austin Dennis in Oakland. He helped me come up with some language behind it and stuff like that, because I'm not a writer. Well, I'm not going to sit up and say what I'm not. I wanted to come up with some language behind it, and he helped me with that.
Right.
And we ran with that. And then we came up with this whole like concept of what this stuff meant, and then started telling the story, created this narrative, and that's pretty much how We Matter came along.
I love it.
Yeah.
So any chance that it'll come to St. Louis?
I'm sure. I mean,
We can put it together.
I've been talking to a good friend of mine, Gina. Shout out to Gina Graffa. She works out of this building. She works somewhere. She
Right.
does a lot.
Okay.
And we've been talking about it. I do have a solo show coming up in Oakland, California at Part 2 Gallery. I'm represented by Part 2 Gallery, a good buddy of mine. His name is Brock Break, who runs that gallery space. Is going to open up actually 314 Day in
Okay.
Oakland, though.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, March 14th, 2020.
All right.
It's
So
the
if you're in
opening.
Oakland, 314 Day, make sure you go and get a little taste of St. Louis up
Yeah,
there.
I got a couple of homies that's traveling down or up
Yeah.
to California. So, hop on that plane. I got young Asha.
Young
Gonna
Asha,
be-
who is coming up next.
Yeah,
On
going
the
to be
show,
in the
yeah.
Bay. So she'll be able to see it. But yeah, it's going to be really cool.
Well, great. Well, tell everybody where they can find you on social media so they can keep up with you and keep track of all of your things.
Yeah, so you can find me on all channels at A Octavius W. On Instagram, that's AOCTAVIUSW. Twitter, Instagram. I'm really not on Facebook like that. But
He has
yeah,
a Facebook page.
I do have a Facebook, but hit me up. Just my whole name on LinkedIn if you want to talk that type of stuff. And yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. This was awesome. And
Appreciate you.
I wish you continued success. And you definitely have just been making a way and doing your thing and having an amazing career in what you set out to do, which is really important. And I'm glad you were able to share your story with my audience
Definitely.
because that's important, honey. They need
Yeah.
to see you.
Yeah, I'm welcome. I'll come back anytime.
You're more than welcome to come
And if you're ever in Oakland, while I'm currently
while you're there.
yeah.
Because you're moving
Hit me
on to
up.
Chicago. You're
Yeah,
coming back to the
moving
Midwest.
Chi, so I'll be in the Midwest December, January.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good luck to you, and thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. We're not done yet. We have more on the way. As I told you, my daughter Asha will be joining us here at the table on the Staci Podcast. Shouts out to our sponsor. I'm talking about my good friends over at Shay's Donut Shop. You make sure you check them out, 1015 North Grand, Shay's Donut Shop. My guy Sterling, not only does he have delicious donuts, he also has, lunch for you. He's got Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, chicken, catfish, all of that good stuff. You go make sure you have him whip you up a burger or something at Shay's Donut Shop, 1015 North Grand, right next door to the VA hospital. Since it is Lil Homie Monday, I mean, Adrian Octavius Walker just hit us with all the good vibes and good energy and telling us, how you can motivate your young people to go after their dreams. And I think that that's super important. And that's why I do Lil Homie Mondays. And I'm excited. And I told you, I think it was last week, I was like, I don't like to brag on my children, but I do think that it's super duper important to highlight when our young people are doing great things. And I want to compliment my daughter, Asha, because she is tenacious and she goes after what she wants. Even when I tell her, I think this is silly. She's like, I know, Mom, but this is what I want to do. And I'm just like, okay, but you living in my house for free, so hurry up. So she finally got her dream job. And welcome to the Static Podcast for Lil Homie Monday, Miss Asha. And tell everybody where you're going to be working. Speak directly into the microphone.
I will be working at Google.
And that's where you've been trying to work now for how long?
Like 3 years.
You even bought books on how to
get a job
at Google.
I remember saying something to you like a couple years ago. Like I was interviewing for an internship and I was like, I'm trying to sorry, I should know better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been like, this has been a goal for like 3 years. And
so tell people now, this is why I love talking to young people, because I want you all to encourage other young people. Because when I get those emails, I used to get those emails all the time, like, how do I get in radio? You know the importance of networking and also interning. So speak on that.
So, I mean, I've essentially been an intern until now. Like I started interning, I mean, really in high school, because I used to bother, as you know, anytime a record rep would come into town from Atlantic or Def Jam, I would be like, Mom, ask them if I can help. Let me help with setting up sound check. Let me go get some food. I had to get Wiz Khalifa fried chicken. I ended up dropping his mashed potatoes. Shout out to Natina because she was about to have a whole fit. And I was 16, but like that was the job, you know what I mean? And then moving on, like 19, ended up working at a live magazine, and I was a senior intern there. And like my still mentor and friend Lindsay Patton was over me at the time.
And what does she do now?
Lindsay is now the director of marketing and sales at the City Museum. Hey, Lindsay.
But she used to also be your manager at
Baker's.
At Baker's. So she's been knowing her since
I was 16.
Right. R.I.P. to Baker's.
R.I.P.
Yeah, my first job was at Baker's when I was 16. Lindsay was my boss there. Then we connected again at a live, and she was like, "Oh my God, it's great to see you." And then a few years later, when Lindsay ran for alderwoman of the 19th ward, I hit her up and I was like, hey, let me know if you need anything. And she instantly made me a staffer on her campaign. And so I raised a lot of money for her campaign. I put together this concert fundraiser, and I was just kind of a key piece to the grassroots development.
And I gotta say, this is not something that I did for her. Lindsay is not my friend. That's her friend. But it's a testament to how you've, which I've always admired, because that's something that I never did. Well, I can't say I never did, because I positioned myself to be in radio.
Yeah.
But it's always, I think I should encourage young people to make sure you do those types of things. You need to intern, you need to network, and the importance of doing that, it comes back tenfold, because you just never know. Just your opportunity when you got to New York and how you ended up finding a place to stay was from you networking. So that's really important, and I know you're going to continue to do that.
About the New York thing?
Should you talk about the New York thing?
I mean, just to like kind of touch on like the networking aspect, right? Because the National Urban League had their conference here a couple years ago, and I was like, all right, I guess like I'm getting in for free. Thank you, Mom. But along with that opportunity, like I researched everybody that was there that worked in the field that I wanted to be in. And then like I went to every panel that they spoke at, and I linked up with them. And one woman, Jessica Johnson Coate, she was speaking on a panel. Somebody else I wanted to meet was on that panel, but she ended up saying like things that I loved. And so we had coffee, we went to Sweetheart, and, yeah, like we just hit it off. And then, a year and a half, almost 2 years later, we reconnected because I was like, hey, I'm about to get an internship at the New York City Economic Development Corporation, and I really need a place to stay. Like, would you be able to help me out? And so she helped me find a place to stay.
Right.
You know, for almost nothing, you know, compared to what I would have been spending. And then also I got the job at the EDC from reaching out to the senior vice president of diversity and inclusion on LinkedIn. Like, that woman did not know me, and I was like, hey, would love to work for the company and move to New York, and to connect with you. And she wrote me back, and we got on a phone call, and I ended up there.
So how do you even get the nerve to like ask some strange woman out for coffee? Like, I would be like, I ain't going to drink coffee with this lady.
I don't really know. I think that, first of all, I went to a goddess circle yesterday. Basically, we burned sage and we burned our problems in lemongrass and stuff, and it was great. And the theme of last night was definitely fear is the devil. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And I also believe that closed mouths do not get fed.
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
Literally.
You know,
my tongue right
what?
now.
Closed mouth don't get.
Yeah, I said that to my company.
Yeah.
You know, if you want something, you ask for it.
You have
know?
to.
And if not, you're just gonna be mad.
Right. And the worst they can do is say no.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And then you regret not, you know, somebody else may have gotten that opportunity that you could have gotten if you positioned yourself differently and if you asked for it. So I have no problems with asking people for whatever I want. Flat out. If it was raising money for a political campaign, can you give me some money? And my friends would be like, I don't know how you can ask people for money. Well, I mean, that's the name of the game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You gotta do that. You kind of gotta do that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Speaking of young people today, about pursuing dreams and going out and making a connection and doing what you need to do in order to get there, I think the takeaway today, even for grown people, I think that these things can also benefit us. You know, people who have had careers and have moved on to other things, like myself, like going out and striking out on my own and starting my own business. I definitely say it every day. A closed mouth does not get fed. Like, I have to go out. I have to ask people for what I want, because there's no way they're going to know that I need it, because a lot of people just assume I have everything that I need. I'm like, no, I still need some help. Yeah. And I need help more than ever now. And I'm not afraid to ask. So, yeah, everybody can walk away with that. That's the takeaway today. For sure. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, because I know you have to go soon. We're going to lighten it up a bit, because I feel like it's just, like, I don't know. Y'all just pouring into, like, good stuff for sure. Yeah. But he's so serious. So I'm
so serious?
Yes, you're so serious. Doesn't he seem serious?
I think he's just chill.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I'm hungry.
Oh, you hungry?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have food.
It's all good. I have peanuts in my big
Now I got peanuts in the car. Okay. So this is a little homie that got into a run-in with Oprah the other day. Oprah was speaking at Morehouse, or doing her thing at Morehouse. Check this out.
Hey, Oprah.
Hey, that's me. That's me in your crack phone.
Hey, Oprah.
Hurt. Did you see how he looked? Like, why you have to bust me out about my phone, though? Why you do me like that on my phone, oh?
What'd she say about his phone?
That's me on your cracked phone.
Oh, that was perfect.
But she redeemed herself. She probably saw that disappointment. Like, why you have to go there about my phone?
Let me get the young man a phone.
Right.
Yeah, check
She
this
got him a
out.
phone?
Yeah, look at this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oprah gave him a phone and the little Oprah note with that Oprah stamp on it to make sure it was real.
That's
Dang,
weird.
that's
She hooked
awesome.
him up with the phone cover and everything.
Yeah.
The glass.
If you gonna do it, she said, well, I don't want him to have his shit shattered no more.
Shout out to Oprah.
Shout out
That's
to
what I'm about
Oprah.
to do. I'm about to show my phone up.
Is your phone cracked up?
No, I'm about to be.
Roll up to the first
I
billionaire you see.
I want Oprah to buy me a phone too. Y'all better make sure y'all put them covers on y'all phone. Y'all millennials, y'all don't take care of y'all stuff. Look,
That's not true.
Right.
where's your case?
I have
My
a case.
case is on my
I have a
phone.
case. I have the new. Yeah.
Yeah, look.
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, my case. I was living in New York, okay, and before that, I was living in Thailand. I don't have time.
You don't have time
to be dealing with cracked phones and things that don't work.
Oh, you got the new 3-camera phone? Did you have to get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My phone literally stopped working after I download the new iOS, the 8.
Really?
So I really had to get a new phone.
Yeah,
But
so
they do
that's
that
why
to
they get
you. That's why they do you.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm still rocking with my 7, even though they said it's probably gonna kill me or something. My cousin sent me something saying that the 7 is emitting something.
Now who said that?
Ira,
They sent it on Facebook.
I don't know where he saw it. He just sent me an
You probably
article.
saw it on Facebook. Get off
Yeah.
Facebook. Shout out, hey,
No,
everybody
he's
get
not
off
on Facebook. He's
All
not.
right.
This cousin is
Live on Facebook. Get off Facebook.
Damn. It was not on. Actually, it wasn't on. Hey, it wasn't on Facebook. No, here it is. Apple's most popular iPhone 7 was recently tested at the RF Exposure Lab in San Marcos, where the radio frequencies measured more than double the legal safety limit Apple had reported to federal regulators from its own testing, according to the Chicago Tribune, not Facebook.
I was going to ask.
The Tribune paid the accredited laboratory in San Marcos to conduct this test, which found the surprising results within minutes. The Tribune also tested other iPhone 7 models, brand new with full power, and found the phones also measured over the exposure limit. And I have an iPhone 7 Plus.
Why you still have it?
Listen,
I should get your mama.
I've been trying to get her together about so many things.
Listen, I'm one of those. I had a 5 before this. I never.
What do I fuss at you about? We fuss all the time.
About what?
About everything.
I don't care.
See, that's
she
that's
doesn't want to
problem.
admit that I'm getting older. She's like mad when I bought readers. I'm like, God damn it, this is what happens. You get older. You getting older.
I just don't like. She's like always been the cool mom.
I'm still cool.
She is, but then it'd be like hints of things of her, and I just
like
don't.
buying readers, and I tried to get like the bedazzled ones.
And I was like, no, ma'am.
Rhinestones.
Why?
She's like, no, you gotta wait until you're 50. I was like, I want to wear them now, though.
No, I think 60 for bedazzled readers, bruh.
When can I wear kitten heels?
Never. Thank you. I heard Reagan side too over there.
I want to wear kitten. I want to live till I'm old enough to wear them. So if it's 80, 90, I'm wearing kitten heels one day.
You are not ever wearing kitten heels.
I'm wearing kitten heels in my 90s.
I'm
God willing.
Them. Me and Kylie. I'm not having them.
Kylie gonna be in them.
I'd rather you wear bedazzled Steve Madden tennis shoes.
With the wedge.
than kitten heels.
So what advice would you give to young people coming out of high school? Mm-hmm. Not even college. Let's start in high school.
Yeah. What advice?
In St. Louis. Let's talk about the St. Louis high school person.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that's easy for me. I get into programs. I got into a lot of after school programs. I didn't really like being home. And plus, these after-school programs have food, so it's just like, all right. But,
how did you get there?
I mean, I just got them asking questions, or just more so like.
No, physically, how did you get there?
Oh, to the after-school program?
Yeah.
Oh well, I had a cheat code. I lived down the street from my school.
Oh, okay.
So that's another thing.
Oh, so you went to the programs in the school?
Yeah, I went to the programs in the schools. So we had programs within the schools. We had this program called Friends with a Better Plan, and this program we did a lot of community work and activities to basically just better our own selves and stuff like that and help elevate where we were. And that was my first time going out of town too with this program. I went to Florida and we did like some type of like retreat.
Oh, okay.
And so after school programs, I don't know what school is like now, but y'all got like the internet resources today are crazy.
Right.
So just Google stuff. You know, it's hard to tell somebody not to be lazy, and I don't like saying that. But just do some research, y'all. It's simple. Like Google is your friend. I have 35-year-old folks asking me for things they could have just looked up on their phone.
Oh, child. Ooh,
You probably one of them.
Oh, I know 50-year-old people who don't even have email addresses. I'd be like, honey, you're not old enough not to have. Girl.
It don't matter.
They be
It don't
at
matter.
Elbows. Am I going to see them on Thursday? Because I'm calling them out. We doing this right now.
Right now. No, and I would ask you, but I got to say this. Like when you were younger, and I'm a full believer that for girls, you have to keep them busy. Because girls get into the dumbest shit.
Like what?
Well, now y'all do the social media thing. Fortunately for you, I mean, you had Bebo.
I just missed it.
Yeah, I had Bebo. Remember Bebo? And it was still drama on Bebo. I remember that.
Oh, I remember Bebo.
My Bebo page got hacked, and some girl changed my stuff. I was devastated and said that I was like gay and like put like made photo albums of like other girls and stuff. Yeah, like my.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
So I would definitely keep them off of social media as much as possible. I remember I made you volunteer at the Y. How old were you?
Maybe like 13.
Yeah, because she was too young to get a job, but I needed her out the house doing something. So I called the Y and was just like, yeah, I got a teenager that can volunteer. and I made her become a volunteer at the YMCA. So she had to sit at the front desk at the Y. She hated me a little bit. I definitely made you get a job at 16 as soon as you could.
It was a cool job. I worked at Baker's.
Yeah.
in
So
McAllee.
so shouts out to Mario the Great because he was my Twitter friend. Hadn't met him in person.
Oh, Mario. Shout out
yeah.
to Mario.
I met him
I
on
used to work with
Twitter.
Mario, but-
And I said, what age do y'all start hiring? He said 16. I said, I got somebody for you in 2 weeks. And she went and got a job. So, you know, it's all about just using your resources, getting these girls into something that they like. I knew you were in fashion. You loved fashion and shoes. So, yeah, it was a perfect marriage. But just keep that in mind because that's what Lil Homie Monday is all about, just helping us keep these young people on track, giving them stories that they can relate to and people they can relate to. And we just keep that circle going. I'm just trying to use my platform for good. That's it. That's all. So make sure you tell people where they can find you on social media when you do have a social media page up because she deletes it all the time.
I delete the apps at times because they can be a bit draining.
And take social media breaks.
Yeah. You can find me at Slay City. That's SLAYCITY. On Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. And then Asha Hornaday on Facebook.
Asha Hornaday on Facebook. All right. That's our show for today, ladies and gentlemen.
You want to do the questions before we go, or?
Do I still want to hit you with some trivia?
Oh, I think Reagan wanted you to ask me about my
I'm not asking her about that.
Yeah, ask
I'm not
me.
ask that.
Let's
I'm not
do
gonna
it.
ask
Adrian
that.
got to leave for that part.
All right.
But
Why I gotta leave?
He like, I want to stay for this.
you want to see this?
All right, I'm gonna give you the late lunch quickie trivia. You're gonna play for a viewer.
Okay.
You won't be winning. They'll win a $50 gift card to the St. Louis Wing Company over in Rock Hill if you get 2 out of the 3 questions correct. And these are just like, you know, trivia questions that are current events, local things, or just some things that my producer tried to be funny about. I don't know where you got these questions from. Here we go.
You gave me like 5 minutes.
I know. Sorry. Despite a solid finish, NLCS viewership, really, hit a new low. Tuesday's Nationals Cardinals NLCS game for averaged A, 2.8 rating and 4.64 million. Where you get these questions from? B, 3.8 rating and 6.18 million. C, 4.0 rating and 4.29 million.
This is baseball, right?
Yes. I don't know what the answer is. You do. No, it's not.
Whoops.
Okay. I'll go with A.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, correct. Yay.
Yay.
Let me put that in bold so I know the answer. What does M&M stand for?
Wow.
Is it Mars and Murray, B, Melt and Mouth, or C, More and More?
It's A. Mars and Murray.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
gave me like 5 minutes to give these trivia questions.
Okay. What TV program aired the first interracial kiss? Was it Bewitched, The Jeffersons, or Star Trek?
That sounds like Bewitched. No, what was it?
Well, you already got 2 out of 3.
Yeah, you
Which one you think it was?
I think it's B.
Jefferson.
Nope.
No, Star Trek.
It was Star Trek.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think
The Trekkies was getting it in, bro.
We just didn't. I didn't
Right, I didn't
They
know
got it in, bro.
Star
They
Trek
got it
at all.
in.
hard time.
Well, you know what? Somebody who is a huge supporter of the Static Podcast will walk away with a $50 gift card to the St. Louis Wing Company. You'll find out Friday if that person is you because he got that.
If you get those wings, holla at me.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
red
I've
hot
never been
Ripley.
I've
no,
never been there before.
they got red hot Ripley wings.
They do.
Wow.
You
Shouts out
need
to Bobby
those in your
Tesla
life,
over
I
there.
think. You
Really?
should go
Are you a
get it.
vegan?
People always ask me, just because you're going to move to California, you about to get that question. Wow.
All of a sudden, I'm plant-based. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. That is the end of the show. You can check out Asha and Slay City on Instagram, and you can check out Adrian. Once again,
A. Octavius W. It's just my name.
Okay. A. Octavius W. on Instagram. Make sure you check for him and his art. Check for her and her new beginnings in San Francisco. And check for us Wednesday for another show. Thanks for tuning in to the Static Podcast. Peace.